Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt, another week of Slingin Dirt. This week we are going to have part 2 of the Dennis Cook interview. We're going to talk one of the best jet mod hobby stock drivers going to sport mod.
Adam Armstrong.
Yeah. Adam Armstrong, man, he is coming on strong with his sport mod.
He is. He's going to make a name for himself.
Yeah, to say well, he's already made a name for himself. Of course, we're going to have Song or Says, so stay tuned. It's Slingin Dirt. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin Dirt. I'm Buddy Ray. You're 9 weeks into the season.
And you still don't remember my name?
I don't remember my wife's birthday, anniversary, or her kids' names. No!
No, actually you did remember those. You were out of town on all of those days.
Yeah, it was a subconscious deal. Well, dude, I'll go get a toter home or I spend the weekend with my wife. I'll go get a toter home.
Anyways, I'm Matt Dennis, guys.
So let's get, like I say every week now, let's get straight to it. We were just talking about this. It's early in the year, a lot of rainouts. The rainouts though, in honesty, none of us like rainouts. We all want to go race. That's first and foremost. But the rainouts can be just as beneficial as the actual race nights themselves. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'll agree on that. And everybody knows that the first 6 weeks of the season, it's inevitable. You're going to have a rain out every week for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks. But where we're going with this, you know there's going to be a rain out, so you can plan what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, maybe not in the context that you guys are thinking. Last weekend, even Mike Brown got home. Who's racing? I was like, Mike, I think everybody from the panhandle of Oklahoma, straight north to the Canadian border, and then over to the Illinois state line, everybody rained out. I mean, it was a massive storm that blew through the entire center part of the U.S. A lot of guys were doing the date night thing. Sean Harker, you a stud. I mean, did you see Sean Harker? Amigos. He took his wife to Amigos.
He spared no expense on that date.
You think he got the 99-cent tater tots or the $1.79 tater tots for his wife?
I think he splurged and went for the dollar ones.
The $1.79 ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, that a boy. You're getting some Amigos for your wife. You know, and those are good nights. But I seen some guys, and this is why I brought this up with you. I seen some guys that had the car loaded. They literally unloaded the car. It went right back in the race shop, and they spent 4, 5, 6 hours rescaling the car, going back through some things. You know, once you have your baseline set up on your car, whether it be hobby stock, stock car, modified, it never hurts if you have a couple free days because of all the rainouts. Just play on the scales a little bit. See what stuff does. You'll learn stuff about your car.
Right. I mean, you're not going to be at the racetrack anyway, so you might as well, like Bud's saying, go ahead and throw it in the garage, put it up on the scales, start making some adjustments, just seeing what the numbers are going to do. That way, it's not a shock if it doesn't work when you're at the track.
Not only that, great time for nut and bolt check. You know, around the Omaha Council Bluffs area, last weekend, we could have raced Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 4 race nights. Now, I-80 did race, and we're going to get to that here in a little bit. I-80 was the only track that raced on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, there was no racing anywhere. At that point, nobody's got an excuse to not, unless you have a funeral or a wedding or something to go to, no true racer's got an excuse not to work on the car or something racing related in those 2 nights. You know, for us, here in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the driver of the 33 stock car, Jim Hendricks Jr. on the show. He really good interview, but there was some truth into what he was saying about organization, keeping stuff around. So what we did is You know, we've had that razor scaled 15 times in the last 13 days, I think. So what we did is we actually tore the race shop apart, rearranged the race shop, and now it's more ergonomic and user-friendly for us. You know, and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It really doesn't. But you've been in some messy shops before.
Oh, I've been in some shops where you couldn't hardly move around.
But how helpful is it when you can go into a race shop to work on your race car and everything's got its place, it's organized, you know. That right there, like I said, nobody thinks about stuff like that.
Right.
When I see Jim Hendrick's shop was pretty well organized.
Yeah, and it's not a big shop.
No.
But they utilize every square inch of that space as best that they can.
Absolutely.
And that's with running 2 cars in that shop.
Yeah. Well, and you've seen my shop. It's not very, it's even smaller than Jim. So I have a premium on every square inch that I have in that shop. You know, we move some really big, heavy items around. My back is really sore today. But we moved some heavy items around, and I'm going, well, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. We hung some pegboard on the walls with some hooks, get some stuff up off the ground. You know, and we're pretty excited about the new quote-unquote use of the race shop. But it got me to thinking with these rainouts, you need to be working on the car or working in the shop or working on the shop. But another thing that you need to do, my dad instilled this in me several years ago before he passed away. On the nights that you have a rainout, he thinks the worst thing you can do is literally just stay home and do nothing and watch TV.
It gets boring.
It gets boring. We racers are creatures of habit. We want to be around the excitement. We want to be around the buzz. And I'm not saying that staying home from time to time on a rainout is not a bad thing, because I'm 41, I got a beer belly the size of Texas, and well, I want to watch Transformers or Iron Man. I'm not going to lie. But you need to utilize those rainouts to do something fun in another part of your life to balance you out.
Right, and everybody knows how busy the race season gets. You're out there running 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, whatever. So on these rainout nights, and some guys will look at you and say, oh, I've been married to my wife for 10 years or 20 years. We don't care about going to dinner or going to a movie or something.
I've been married a little over 2 years. Had to add that up.
I could tell. That was a whole lot of finger pointing for 2 years.
I had to carry the one, you know, and then I had to subtract the 90 days from it. Yeah.
But anyways, a date night goes a long ways.
Yes, it does.
Not only for her, or if you want to take the kids and do something, but even for you. I'm not going to say it's always going to be relaxing, but it's something different. It gets you away from the house, even though you're not at the track.
Well, you're used to being away from the house on race night, so you know, next weekend, I don't know what's going on. Now, granted, the show's recorded a week prior, but you know, this upcoming weekend, true time is Captain America versus Iron Man, the Civil Wars movie. And my wife and I, we're Marvel geeks. I'm all Team Iron Man. She likes the Carey guy or whatever his name is, that's Captain America. Yeah, truth be told, I'm Captain Bud, but
you're Captain something.
Captain Dud. But yeah, you take your wife out. Our wives and girlfriends, you've been down this road, I've been down this road. They may not work on the car, but mentally they carry such a load with us racers.
Well, and when they go to the track with you usually anyways, and I mean, even if they're just sweeping the trailer off or wiping the cabinet down in there, they're still participating in some aspect to help you.
My wife was in the race shop helping me move stuff around. She still...
So you had her doing the heavy lifting?
Yeah, why not? She's probably stronger than me. That's the only time I'll ever say that, but... No, make sure, you know, with all joking aside, make sure you utilize these rainouts. I'm not a firm believer in just laying around. Now look, if we're raining out week after week, which we've seen that too, 2 or 3 weeks of rainouts, then yeah, I'll take a night and I'll just watch TV or whatever, you know. But my wife and I, Saturday night, you know this, we went out, had kind of a date night, had some brews, just kind of relaxed, did our own little thing. You joined us.
Not on the date part.
Not on the date part. No, that'd be a little awkward. I mean, I'd lose my wife to Matt, but Sunday, ended up taking and rearranging the garage. We did Jim Hendrick's interview, so we still did some work. I was out of the house. I was still doing something with racing, so. I tell you what, I'd like to hear what you guys like to do, wouldn't you? I want to hear what you guys like to do on a rain out. You know the weather's coming. Everybody's raining out. It's inevitable. Stewart, I-80, Eagle, Harlan, wherever, it's going to rain out. What do you guys like to do on rain out night? So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about one of the biggest up and coming sport mod drivers here in the Midwest. So stay tuned. It's Slingin' Dirt.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff with DriveDirtCars.com. Does your current race operation look like this? Well, if it does, give us a call at 815-990-2657. We're actually financing Harris race cars and CMC crate motor connection crate motors for your racing operation. Our payments range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. If you'd like to get a new motor or you'd like to get a new chassis, give us a call, 815-990-2657.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Slingin' Dirt. You knew he was going to be good in a car. There was no denying that. He's a phenom in the hobby stocks. No, we ain't talking about Shannon Anderson. Although, Shannon, way to go. You did win again last weekend, but Shannon winning in a hobby stock, I mean, that's just about a given anywhere he goes.
That's just common weekly stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It gets, and I'm not going to discredit him, but it's just, Shannon wins again.
Yeah. It's kind of like back in the sport mod days. Sabine won again. Who'd have thought? So, actually, we want to talk about Adam Armstrong. Wow. I mean, wow.
The kid's going to have a bright future in the sport mod, and if he has his success in the sport mod like he did the hobby stock, and I can only imagine the day he gets into a modified.
Oh yeah, he hasn't been in a sport mod very long either. Last year he did some turned some laps. He had a much older car, and ironically, I don't think, Adam, if you're watching this, please feel free to get a hold of me on Facebook and set the record straight. I don't think it was a jet mod that he had right out of the gate. I think it was something else, but I do believe he has since sold that car. The car he has right now is a jet mod. And he just picked up his first feature win, I believe, I-80 Speedway.
He did.
And the guys that he battled for that win are no slouches.
Well, it was a last lap pass too. So it's not like he just took the lead and ran away. He worked for it from the way it sounds, because I had to work that night till midnight, so I couldn't be there. But
who got second in that race?
Was it?
Lighting.
Mark Lighting.
Yep.
Now, Mark Lighting, he may not be the biggest known name on the national stage, but he's got several track championships in sport mods. You got Sean Harker that was there. The Shark, Sean Harker, he's a stud in a car. Another jet mod driver, runs really well. But you got the likes of Sean Harker, Mark Lighting, Dennis Cook.
Dennis was out there.
Dennis was up there. Cody Olson. Cody Olson is no slouch.
And Cody has definitely been on his A game the last couple of years. Last year, he struggled a little bit.
But not bad. He was still, at times a top 5 car. Almost always a top 10, yeah.
But no, Cody Olson, he's got quite the little powerhouse with his program too.
Look at this year, Ryan Jenkins. He's kind of like the Kevin Harvick. Where the hell did you come from, Ryan Jenkins? All of a sudden this guy's knocking, I think he's got 1 win already this year, several top 4s. He's about, 4'2", weighs about 75 pounds, but the guy is a stud behind the wheel of a sport mod. He is really good. But getting back to Adam Armstrong, Adam Armstrong, to come into the sport mods, still learning a lot of this stuff, he's been nothing but impressive to watch. He goes out to Vegas and he almost makes the show in Vegas. You're just like, wow. You know, and a lot of guys, I don't want to use the show for this, but this is something I've got to say. I've had some guys tell me, well, Adam's, you know, not all that, and Adam's kind of cocky and arrogant and whatnot. Last year at Vegas, I got to sit down with Adam several times actually, and he was looking at my car and I was looking at his car. And Adam, for as young as Adam is, I will say this, people can disagree with me all day long, I don't care. Adam is a racer's racer. He's not high dollar, he's low budget, he wants to have fun with everything he does. When I was out in Vegas, I believe it was his mom and dad, I could be wrong, I didn't really formally introduce myself.
Well, that's because you're a YouTube superstar.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. So, I believe it was his mom and dad in the trailer, and Adam's got what looks like an entire race operation just spread out all the way around his pit stall at Vegas. And he was so methodical with what he wanted to do, and he wanted to do everything himself. He wasn't cocky, he was really relaxed. Every time the entire time we were talking, he always had a smile on his face. I noticed that. A lot of times you'll go out to, you know, these tracks and you'll see these 30 and 40-year-old drivers like us. And it's, well, Matt, what are you doing? Well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this in the car. Here's Adam. I don't know. He's like, I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to do that, and he's just so relaxed.
He is, and he always has been.
Yeah, it was real refreshing to talk to a guy like Adam. He kind of reminds me of a much younger version of Dennis Cook.
Yeah, I can see it.
The only thing Adam doesn't have that Dennis Cook does is a 200-pound beer belly and a 9-inch long goatee or a beard. I mean, that's the God's honest truth. And I'm not making fun of Dennis Cook by any means. Well, maybe I am, Dennis. But,
well, he'll poke fun at his beard on his own, too.
Oh, yeah. But Adam is just, you know, and I say this about a lot of drivers. Sabin's another one. If you respect them outside of the car, even more so in the car when you're on the track against them, but if you show them a little bit of respect, or anybody a little bit of respect outside of the car, none of these guys are hard to talk to. They're just laid back. But when I was talking to Adam, he was just a really fun young guy to talk to and get to know. And after the races, he wouldn't have a good run, and he'd be like, well, the car just wasn't all that. How'd your razor do? Yeah, I blew another transmission. And he's like, that's all right. You'll be fine. You'll be back. You'll be better. I'm just like, I couldn't get the kid to say anything negative. I mean, I couldn't. I just don't see him as a negative racer. He's serious about racing, I will tell you that. He's a driver's driver. He is analyzing every little part that's on that car. But when you look at his hobby stock career, it makes sense. How many wins does this kid have in the hobby stocks? A lot. Look at his dad, Roy Armstrong. A lot of wins. I know he did dabble in stock cars. He went back to the hobby stocks, and now Adam's in the sport mod. And I'm just like, wow. And now, Adam, let Matt and I know, because I don't know exactly where you're moving. I do know he's moving to central Iowa, and I did see on Adam Armstrong's Facebook page, he was like, well, I'm going to check out where I'm going to run weekly. And I looked, I'm like, wow, Stewart Speedway. I mean, but you look at Adam, how good is Adam at Eagle Raceway?
Adam's had his fair share of bad nights at Eagle like everybody, but Adam can get around Eagle better than most drivers that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, and so when you take him to Stewart Speedway, it's a nice dry slick. It's a little dusty, but Stewart is not a place known to get real rough. It's usually pretty smooth, dry slick, gets a little dusty in the summertime. He's going to be a good addition to the sport mods up there. Clint Llewellyn, you're going to have fun with that one.
Right. Well, and going central Iowa,
yeah,
within an hour of Des Moines, there's so many racetracks that he can pick up and get to. And not knowing what his racing schedule weekly is going to be, but He's got so many options right there with so many different caliber drivers.
He's got Boone, Stewart, Iowa State Fairgrounds.
He's got Oskaloosa.
Oskaloosa. I mean, this guy can race everything from a cereal bowl to a dinner plate size track. That's only going to make him even better.
Right, he's going to get more diverse in his track size and the track surfaces. It's going to open up a lot of knowledge for him, and I'm not going to say he's unstoppable, because everybody is, but he's going to be unstoppable.
Right now, if you go race Adam Armstrong, I firmly believe you better bring your A game.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis Cook says in his interview, as a driver, you can be off on your setup, but you still have to will what you have available to you on the track. And I thought about that. Adam Armstrong is that guy. You could put reverse stagger in the car. You could give Adam 56% front weight with 37% back weight, or whatever, 47% back weight, whatever it is. And he's still gonna get to the front because he's gonna will that car. He is a wheel guy.
Adam is definitely gonna be the driver that, even if the car's off, he'll adapt to the car to make the car do what he wants it to be doing.
Let me ask you this, knowing how we both know Adam, we've both been watching him, let's go 2 years out. Do you see him having a track championship in a sport mod? He goes strictly to sport mod weekly racing. Is he a track champion racer?
Yeah.
Let's go 5 years out. Is he a guy that can contend for the national championship if you wanted to get after it?
It wouldn't surprise me if he's gonna hit that championship status, not win the national title, but if he's a competitor for it within the first 3 years, honestly.
In the first 3 years, if he doesn't win it, how high up does he get in the points in IMCA?
I can see him being a top 5 car, easily.
Especially
for how many different tracks that are gonna be around him when he moves, because he can pick and choose Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
In the tracks, you know, I'm not knocking anybody that we have here in the Omaha Council Bluffs area, because we've got some really, really good wheel guys here in this part of the area. But when you go to that central Iowa, you got the Boone, Marshalltown, Vinton, Oski, Iowa State Fairgrounds, Stewart, you've got some big name national heavy hitters.
There's a reason IMCA is based in central Iowa.
Yeah, and he's going straight into the belly of the beast. I would agree. I don't know if I see Adam winning a national championship in 5 years. It wouldn't surprise me, but I do know he's not a high dollar team. And to win that national championship, you're gonna have to be well funded and you're gonna have to pick up some big sponsors. It is what it is. Although he does have the number of tracks located to him once he moves to central Iowa, that he can make it, you know, within an hour, he can go to 4 or 5 different tracks. But when he does that, he's gonna be going over there where he's got some of the biggest, brightest, best people in IMCA sport mods. You got your Llewellyns, Austin and Clint. I think Clint's already won 1 or 2 races this year. I do see him being top 5, you know, in the first 5 years. Do I see Adam being a national contender? Oh, absolutely. His biggest issue is the funding, I think. I don't know, maybe he's got extra funding. But if he had a big sponsor step up and actually fund him, I think he would be a national contender right now.
So he's one of those racers that you look at his car and it's not big budget, high dollar. So not knowing what he has sponsorship wise or anything, he may have $100,000 in sponsors.
Right.
And keep a low budget car to keep his costs down.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's very possible.
Dennis Cook kind of did that.
Yeah.
And how'd he end up? 2 track championships.
Yeah, same year.
Yeah.
First 2 championships he's had in his career.
Adam's not dumb. He's smart. It's fun to watch him. It's actually fun to race against him. I've raced against Adam several times, and we have been door to door, wide open, even out in Vegas. There was some video, and some people were sharing it to his page, my page. I'm on the inside, he's on the outside. Our cars are hiked up, rolled over, and we're just having fun. And Adam would get out of the car, and we were shaking hands and laughing about it. And he's just a really good, cool kid. So that's one of the drivers I'm watching for this year. You know, and I'm kind of glad that he's moving to central Iowa, because it takes the pressure off me, so I have a little bit better shot of running up front little less competition, although it wouldn't shock me if he didn't make the pull to Denison. So, I think it's, like I said, I think it's the Des Moines area that he's moving to. Adam, if you're watching this, which I'm sure by the time this comes out, you're gonna know about it. Let us all know where you're moving to. I want to say it was Des Moines, maybe Ames area, somewhere in there. So tell you what, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come right back and we're gonna talk cooker chassis. This is Slingin' Dirt, stay tuned.
Does your car smell as bad as Jamie Songer does? Come on down and we'll take care of you. Well, we're gonna scrub all your vinyl, we're gonna clean all your seats, your carpet, everything. We're gonna put a conditioner on it, make a nice shine. It's gonna last for a long, long time. Then we're gonna hit the outside of your car. We're gonna do a nice hand wash with a buff with a nice hand wax finish. Call us at 282-4339.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. Come to Joe's to experience speed, join the competition, and ride the fastest indoor track around. Our professionally designed indoor karting track is perfect for arrive and drive racing, race classes, and racing competitions. We offer affordable pricing options, membership packages, event outings, and so much more. Stop in today to get registered for your next race, and don't forget to like us on Facebook for deals, giveaways, and more. Visit us online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to Slingin' Dirt. I tell you what, last week we had the part one of the Dennis Cook with Cooker Chassis interview. I've said it numerous times. You and I've said this about Dennis off camera. He talks, you listen, period. End of story. He talks, you listen. He's a smart guy.
Between his hair and his beard and his big burly voice, you don't have a chance to just butt in with Dennis Cook.
Well, there's Dennis Cook. You know, Dennis in the past, we've talked about this, Matt. Dennis has always told me, well, I'm not kind of that social butterfly. I don't talk a whole lot. And with this interview, we're like, sure.
What incentive is there to come back and pay the $10?
But at the same time, for the new fans or the fans that aren't so often in the stands, hey, you know, this is a really cool idea. I need to come back next week or the following week.
Well, the other more people with that, you make fans that will pay to get in.
I've often thought that racing, I was talking to Lee Ackerman from ID Speedway one day. You know, anybody that knows me knows I love to watch WWE wrestling. And I was thinking one night watching this, they're selling out arenas at 30,000 in an arena. They've got 100 million viewers every Monday night. The stuff is as fake as it can get. You can get online and see who's gonna win that night before you, the people are drawn to the product. Well, I'm looking at racing. You have a real sport, nothing scripted, it's raw, it's emotional, it's fast paced, but we're failing to put people in the stands.
Right.
So my question is, does the sport of racing, even though it's the same sport it was 50, 60 years ago, does it need to be remarketed, repackaged in some way?
I don't know, I'm not a marketer.
Well, of course you are. You're talking to Steve Kaczynski about letting me.
Well, but it's basic dollars, you know. You think about it, okay, you sell them concessions. You know, them same people, if you let them in for free, that $10 they was gonna spend at the gate, they're gonna spend at the concession stand. Whether it's drinking beer, pop, hot dogs, you know, have enough concessions there to boost your profits at that point, you know. It's not about you got to turn people into fans again. And if they're at the track, them empty seats don't make any money. No, people in the grandstands make them money. And the other thing that happens is they get a dog in the race. You know, pretty soon they become fans of Buddy Ray Jones, Dennis Cook, Jesse Sobbing. Then they come root for them. You know, I've got a few people that come out of the grandstands, and they're diehard Dennis Cook fans. No matter whether I screw up or not, they've learned to appreciate and watch me race, and they come and they talk to them. You have to spend a little time talking to them. The racers are bad about this anymore. They're the first ones to leave, and they don't stick around and talk to the fans.
Do you think that really hurts the sport?
I do personally, but if I think there's anything wrong with the sport today that Craig Kelly did not do and never jumped on the bandwagon, was having so many classes of cars. The car counts were higher in the particular classes that they had. The car count was the same, it would just have to be in 2 classes. But I think it gave me more of a routine and an ability to run the show in a more timely manner. They ran that program on Sunday night, had everybody out of there at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Granted, they started a little bit earlier.
When you look at Sunset Speedway, Matt, did you go to Sunset? I went a lot as a kid.
Honestly, I only went probably 10 times as a kid, and I couldn't tell you what classes, what drivers. I mean, I was probably my son's age.
I remember the very first race I went to Sunset Speedway, there's 3 drivers that stuck out. Sugar Bear, John Kinney Sr., John Kinney Jr., and I thought it was the coolest thing to see father and son race against each other in those Broncos. But the one thing I was getting at is that Sunset Speedway, and you don't see this in a lot of today's racing, and I know you've had to have seen this, Dennis. At Sunset Speedway, drivers would go up on the front stretch and they'd toss frisbees out, or they'd toss the occasional t-shirt out, or they'd meet you at the catch fence and they'd sign autographs. And we weren't talking no 1-hour intermission. We're talking a 5-10 minute intermission. We'd go right back into the racing because the races were done at 9:30, 10 o'clock. But you don't see that in today's sport no more. It's like once we get there to the track, when's the last time you'd seen drivers walk up on the front straightaway at I-80 and toss something over the fence or go sign an autograph or interact with those fans?
Well, I'm guilty of that myself. Racing has become, we're all there for the competition, and we work on the cars, and that's what we think about. We don't think about promoting ourselves over the races. And, I'm not going to point no fingers at anybody because I'm as guilty as the next guy.
Right.
I'm out there to try and win races.
But when I was talking to Lee Ackerman, my wife one day, she told me, she goes, I don't want to go watch your race. Not tonight, I just don't feel like it. And I was like, well, why not? You've been going out through this whole time. She goes, I don't know how to work on a car. She has no desire to work on a car. But she goes, I don't want to sit on a bleacher and have my head go around in circles when it's 90 degrees out. That's just boring. It's no fun. And I thought about that statement. I was like, you know what? I'm so ADD myself, I can't sit still. You know this. I'm not going to sit on a 90-degree bleacher and just go like this with my head. It's going to get boring. So at that point, do we need more driver-fan interaction in the sport? And then that got me to thinking back to the old Sunset days when you could go meet Scott Carlson or the Dennis Cook or the Sugar Bear or the John Kinney Jr.'s. Because that's what you guys did back then. It was, being a little kid, I remember, and I don't know if you remember this back in the 80s at Sunset, there would always be a whole bunch of kids with the programs, and we always had a competition to see who could get the most signatures and the most autographs in the programs. Do you see that anymore?
No, but that's not all the racers' faults either. That's parents' fault. The parents don't take the time to bring the kids down into the pits. They don't view racing as a family sport very well anymore. There's too many other things for people to do. That's part of what's hurt our sport.
And there's too many fans and racers alike that, all right, the races start at 6:30, they'll be done by 10:30, so it'll show up at 6:25, you're out by 10:35. So many people wait to show up to the track or hurry up and get out of there right away afterwards that it's hard for the drivers and fans to interact anymore.
Yeah, I remember when I was in racing, my son was born. My son's mom didn't think that there was anything to the sport. It didn't teach anything. There was no life lessons to be learned. And I was like, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh, my dad said the same thing. I mean, my dad views it different today, but when I started racing, he just gave me the dickens, You're going to waste all your money. My father-in-law at the time, he said the same thing, I couldn't wait to wave that first trophy under their nose,
Yeah.
That I won. That they just, my dad specifically, today he understands the financials it taught me, the mechanics it taught me, the ability to interact with people. You know, you have to find a common ground to make these things happen. You know, there is a lot of lessons. People would give me heck about why you let your son race and blah, 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 you know. I know the lessons they taught me. It's teaching my son the same things right now today. And I couldn't be prouder of my son. He don't ever have to win a race. He's still learning things.
Right.
That's the way racing was intended back in the day when racing started. You know, today it's all about you have to win or you're nobody.
Right. You know, so we're back to record. All right, creative element. Pay attention, Corey. That's the lady that edits all this. The camera went dead, so we're just gonna pick back up. You may have to cut a little bit out or do whatever you need to. So we're just gonna pick up where we left off. So, all right, Dennis, good question. Let's talk new drivers. You got a new driver at the track. You know, you're a veteran driver. We've seen them come and go, these new guys. What's the biggest piece of advice that you could give new drivers to earn a veteran's respect?
Well, from my point of view, you know, go out there. It's okay to race hard, but don't overdrive the car. Don't think you're going to win the very first night out. You need to think that as a race car driver, but to gain people's respect that you're racing with, you know, go out there and try not to tear anything up and learn to get faster gradually. It'll come.
You think it's helpful for the new guys, and it doesn't matter what class, what track, wherever they're racing at. You think it's beneficial for the new guys to come up and maybe introduce themselves to you? You know, just kind of set the stage right off the bat. You know, hey, I'm not here to be your enemy. I respect you guys. You know, I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Well, that's all good and well. I don't know if it's something that I think it's a necessity, but you know, yeah, I'm guessing I would respect that if a guy does do that. I don't know if it's necessary, but you know, for me, the necessity is here, you're racing with us, don't tear my car up.
Well, and if, whether it be a rookie driver or not, somebody gets into you, tears up your equipment, their equipment, at least to have the decency to walk up, hey, you know, I'm sorry, didn't mean to, I'm a rookie into the sport, rookie into the class, still getting my feelers out on all of it.
Yeah, that goes a long ways, Matt. You should give them a little cool down period before you do that, but yes, that's one of them things that it's a very positive when a guy does that, you know, because you realize that, hey, he didn't mean it when he comes and apologizes.
We were talking right before filming this. You got a guy, never raced nothing on dirt at all, never been in racing. First 1 or 2 nights, you know, the track's got a draw, redraw, and for some reason they're starting in the first 1 or 2 rows. Do you tell them start in the back? Or what, you know, let's say it's Josh, he's in the sport mods, he's never raced nothing. You tell him to start in the back the first few nights, or at what point do you say, okay, you can start up front?
Well, I don't think that's a bad thing to start in the back. Follow everybody around and learn where to drive, where they're driving through the corners. You don't want to do that too long because part of the learning curve is starting in the front and getting bumped from the back, and learn to get past as well as pass. You know, so it teaches you to hold your line. You need to hold your line and give that faster guy the clear opportunity to outrace you and not wreck you.
Well, and if you go to the back of the feature, let's say you do it 75% of the time your first year, you're not learning anything. I mean, you're learning, you can go out there and you can hold the steering wheel and push the pedal, but you're not really learning anything.
Yeah, there's, you know, racing is definitely a learned thing. You know, there's very few that are capable of going out and doing it with no prior experience. And you do have to learn all aspects of it and get out there and get in the mix.
Right. What do you think, rookie drivers, they want to go out, they want to race one night a week, they want to go out and have fun. You think it's more beneficial to, when they can, go to the big track and then get the chance and go to the smaller track to help gain a little bit of experience in different areas?
Well, I don't know about the size of the track so much, Matt, is you do need seat time with race cars. And, you know, I don't know if everybody does this or not, but typically I don't change a whole lot of stuff to go from one racetrack to another racetrack. So it's seat time that, you know, that it's giving you. And it'll build your confidence a little bit that, hey, I went to this track. My experience over the years, every time I went to a new track, I always ran great because I didn't know any different. You know, so yeah, the new tracks are good for your confidence level.
You just mentioned, well actually we were talking off camera about this. I had a veteran racer who told me that anytime you get in a dirt car, regardless of class or where you're racing at, you need to always focus on the win. Do you agree with that, or should you have fun? And do you focus more on fun, or do you focus more on the win?
Well, personally, I focus more on the win, but you know, winning is fun. You can finish 4th or 5th and still have fun. I think we've gotten away from the fun side of racing so much. It is a competition thing. You know, I played football in high school. The competitive nature of myself is I've always wanted to win. You know, and we do have that in society today. You know, your parents at the ball games yelling at the umpires and whatnot. You know, the competition level is there. I don't know if I agree with society that everybody should win a trophy, whether you win or lose. You know.
On that, and it doesn't matter if it's Little League Baseball or racing cars. To me, if it's a participation trophy, I don't really know what the point is. It just means, hey, you went out, you did a good job, here you go. But if you go out and you've got to try a little bit harder to win the baseball game or win the A feature, that trophy to me means more than just, oh, you showed up tonight.
Well, it ain't even about that, Matt. Here's what I think's wrong with that. And they don't teach anybody to lose nowadays.
Right.
You have to learn to lose.
Before
you can win.
You have to know how to lose.
And by learning to lose, it teaches you what you need to do to win.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole knowledge aspect in it. Win or lose, there's always knowledge to be learned.
I agree.
I was told a long time ago that if you want to go out and have some fun, you don't need to work on your car a whole lot. You're just taking laps. If you just want to go have fun, you're just taking laps. You need to be focused on winning at all times. And I remember my dad and I, and you were very close to my dad there for a while before he died. And Dad and I would always get into these fights. And he always like, we need to win, we need to win, we need to win. And it felt like it just put so much pressure on us that we were second guessing everything. So finally my dad and I said, let's not focus on winning. I mean, when you get into racing or football or whatever, you should want to win. You shouldn't have to focus. The need to want to win should just be there instinctively. So instead of focusing on winning, let's just go out and have fun. But it doesn't matter if you're at I-80 or Harlan or Denison or Webster City or wherever these tracks that you've raced at, Dennis. The one thing that you've got to agree with is you have a 1 in 20, 1 in 25 chance of winning a feature. The odds are stacked against you tremendously. So what Dad and I said is, let's hope for a consistent top 10. Anything beyond that was bonus. All of a sudden we started doing that in 2010, 2011. We knocked off our first A feature win. In 2011, it wasn't an A feature, but I think we had 7 B feature wins at an Eagle Raceway, which is a really tough place to have success at. You know, and I always thought that there was something to that. Now, I do agree that I think participation trophies and stickers and stuff like that is a little, we've taken the fortitude out of today's society You got to learn how to lose before you want to win, and if you lose, it gives you the drive to want to win. But at the same time, you got to have fun in the sport. If you've got no fun in the sport, you probably shouldn't be in the sport.
No, and us as race car drivers, that is what's fun, to get out there and actually do the racing, the competition. That's what fuels me. And anybody that's winning, they are fueled by, they want to win.
Have you ever had an issue on the track where, knowing you, I know you want to win all the time, but have you ever finished 5th, 6th, and you've had a race with the guy for 10 laps, but you had a lot of fun doing it?
Oh yeah. I've had that in the 1st and 2nd position. I've had it in the 4th and 5th position, but I choose to be in the 1st and 2nd position to have that. To me, that increases the fun level, but that's hard to put in perspective, I guess.
Well, and like Bud said, for the guy that goes out there and wins, he's fueled by something to get to that point. Just like the 2nd place, the 3rd place, the 4th place guy, they have a fuel to beat the winner. So the winner's got the fuel to beat everybody else, but everybody else has the fuel to beat the winner. And you and I've been through this road when I was helping Jesse, and we'd show up to race, have fun, the wins came with it, that was great. But the one thorn that we dealt with the most was always Dennis Cook. But that was our fuel to keep getting better, and your fuel to keep getting better.
Exactly. There was a lot of times I went racing, I only had one guy on my mind, and it was Jesse, and everybody always wanted to know what Jesse was doing. I didn't care what Jesse was doing. I wanted to do what he wasn't doing so I could beat him.
Right.
And I went about it that way, and I beat Jesse several times, and for me, you talk about satisfaction, that was it, because he was the cream of the crop.
Yep.
He still is. I got nothing but love for Mr. Sobbing, but nobody I want to beat any worse either.
It still felt good to beat him.
Oh yeah.
And personally for me, if there's somebody I wanted to lose to, it'd be you, because next week I knew that we could come back and still run door to door with you, not even touch each other.
Well, and that was during that little history there, Matt, it was, Jesse got out of the car and he come over and wow, dude, that was fun, that did make racing fun, because we raced wheel to wheel, door to door. He won more of the battles than I did, but I won a few of them, and that's what fueled me to get better.
And that was for part of our fuel to get better, was whether losing to you or Clint Llewellyn or Scott Davis or whoever, most people are happy with 2nd place. And don't get me wrong, we were happy with it, but we'd still rack our brains going home. What was that one little thing that we missed? Because now we got to find it. It fueled that fire for us to come back next week even harder.
Oh yeah.
And for a lot of drivers, it's that way. Not just for Jesse or you or Bud, but for a lot of drivers, they look at it that way. They want to find that one little nick that they missed.
Oh yeah, I've spent a lot of years not wanting to do what everybody else is doing. I beat my drum to my own tune and figured out what I needed to be the fastest race car on the racetrack.
And you've had a lot of success doing that too.
You talk about these battles with Mr. Sabi. Is there any one particular battle that just really outshines any other races that you've had against Sabi, or anybody else for that matter? Is there one race you're just like, I can't believe I did that?
Well, I'd have to say the highlight was beating Jesse in the King of the Hill in 2010, but I had many of them battles with Jesse that there was huge satisfaction when you beat Jesse, because Jesse was the cream of the crop, and they just did our whole team and crew immense, pumped everybody up when you actually beat them, especially when you came from behind to beat them, when you passed them on the last lap, them are the nights that you remember.
Well, and DJ Doblin, him and I had a talk about this a few years ago. Was we were still running B mods, and he's running door to door Jesse the whole race, and he wound up finishing 3rd or 4th that night up at Shelby County Speedway. And I walked right up to him and shook his hand. I says, right there shows that you can drive with the best. I said, you got Jesse, you got Dennis, and I don't remember who the other driver was in tech, but I said, you just raced the best of the best at this racetrack and held with them. I said, that's confidence. That's a boost for you guys.
And it is, and you need to take those things as a driver and use that to your benefit to make it competitive the next week.
So 2016's here. We've talked about your racing, the classes that you raced in. 2016's here. You got this really nice shop. You just moved up here to Missouri Valley, Iowa. Where all are you racing at this year?
I'm basically just going to do the I-80 and the Shelby County Speedway again.
Have you ever thought about running like a Boone Super Nationals? Just seeing what you could be like at a track like that?
Oh, I've thought about it. You know, if I was younger, I'd probably do it. But, you know, the thing with going over there to Boone, so much of it's locked over there. There's so many cars. You got to draw good. You got to hit the track after it's been farmed in the right spot for everything to work in your favor to win that.
Yeah, but you've also, in the interview here, you've talked about you've got all this wisdom. Shouldn't wisdom be able to help in a situation like that?
I think it could. I'm not per se scared to go do them things. I just choose not to because of the amount of money and the work involved to do that. You know, I enjoy when it hits that time of the year. It gives me an opportunity to go watch the other guys race, and I'm as much of a fan of racing as I am a racer. You know, I can go watch or help somebody else and enjoy myself just as much as if I'm in the car.
Well, sorry, but saying if you were younger you'd do it, you're not going to be any younger than you are right now, though.
You're right, but I've got no desire to go do that today. You know, I just don't.
You have a favorite time of the year? You like racing in early in the season a little bit better than the end of the season? I've talked to drivers, they're like, no, we like the end of the season. We're getting ready to take a 6-month break. It's called winter time. I've talked to drivers like, no, I can't wait to drive in the springtime. There's a lot of moisture. The tracks are usually tackier. You know, what about you?
Well,
or is it just a race to you?
It's all just a race to me. I prefer the summertime, midsummer when it's hot, dry. The track gets slick. It separates the boys from the men when it comes to driving a race car on a dry, slick racetrack. You know, as I would always say, tacky track makes all the knuckleheads fast, and it does. I mean, their cars will stick. There's traction there for them. The dry, slick stuff is what I enjoy because that separates the men from the boys.
If somebody, watching the show here, if somebody wants to follow Dennis Cook racing, how do they do that?
How do they follow me racing?
Other than being on the track and literally following you. I've got plenty of experience doing that.
Josh has created a page on Facebook, Cooker Chassis. I always try to post when we win or the results during the summer on there. I'm not as diligent as I should be. Definitely always post the wins, but not always the seconds and thirds and fourths, but
Yeah, I wish you had more games on here.
I don't have a web page or anything like that, so.
Well, before we close out here, I do want to ask you, Dennis Cook has a Facebook, you got Cooker Chassis on Facebook. With Facebook in general, do you think that's hurt or helped the sport?
Oh, I think it's hurt the sport a little bit, on one end of the stick, it does help because people can see all the things. The negative stuff that people get to putting on there, they should refrain from that. It ought to be all used in a positive manner instead of complaining about the racetracks and the things they do wrong, and they never put anything that they do right on there. I think that's a negative.
Right. It's kind of like the news. The news is always showing the negative. They rarely show the positive.
Right.
And in this sport, unfortunately, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what forum, what page, anything.
Well, people don't accept responsibility for their own failures. If you don't win, it's not because somebody else did something wrong to you. You did prepare yourself well enough, and you're not putting the effort into it to get yourself there. I mean, we do control our own destiny for the most part when it comes to racing.
Right. Well, I tell you what, it's been Matt and Dennis. I'm Buddy Ray, the driver of the number 45 Crooker chassis, Dennis Cook. This has been Slingin' Dirt. We're going to be right back after these few minutes.
Well, there's Dennis Cook. You know, Dennis in the past, we've talked about this, Matt. Dennis has always told me, well, I'm not kind of that social butterfly. I don't talk a whole lot. And with this interview, we're like, dear Lord, how much battery life do we have in this camera?
He's one of those guys, once you get him talking, he doesn't stop.
No.
But he's got so much knowledge and so much insight and background to him that you can't help but listen to the guy.
I've often said these young guys, like your Ryan Jenkins, your Jacob Hobschites, your, Cheyenne Purchase, who's running Sport Mod this year. I believe that's how you spell her, or pronounce her last name. It's either Purvis or Purchase. Her dad helped Sean Harker. Then you got the Lincoln girl out of the Columbus area. In fact, she was over at I-80 running. Bobby Lincoln's daughter or granddaughter, I can't remember. I've often said these young drivers just getting in the sport, you may not want to like, but you need to respect these older veterans. It was the guys like the Scott Carlson, the Dennis Cook, the Danny McKeegan, the John Kinney Jr.'s, the Dave Chase. It's a revolving door. These drivers, guys like Dave Chase, Joe Koziski, they paved the door for the John Kinney Jr.'s of the world. The John Kinney Jr.'s and the Scott Carlson and the Dennis Cooks, they paved the world, the pathway to the door for guys like me and you. So when you see these guys like Dennis Cook and these older guys like a Ron Tilley, get to know them. In order to understand where you're going to in life with whatever, in order to understand where you're going, you need to understand where you came from. Well, we're coming from these guys. You may not be related. You may not have ever met the guys. But without these guys, the sport wouldn't be what it is today.
And we've all been the young kid when it comes to the sport. There's always been the older guy. When Dennis Cook first got into it, well, there was a Dennis Cook older than him that paved the way for him to be able to get out there and do it. And
yeah, that guy's name was Glenn Roby.
Yeah, which he actually was still racing up until a few years ago.
Glenn Roby is like the Moses for everybody in the Omaha, Council Bluffs area. Great guy, great racer. He would be a good interview to get on Slingin' Dirt. Yeah, we ought to do that. Go to Alpine Inn, get some free roasted chicken.
Feed the raccoons.
Feed the raccoons. But anyways, meet these older drivers. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff that you can learn from them. I know Dennis Cook, Scott Carlson, these guys, they've helped a tremendous amount of drivers. You're going to hear about that in the Jim Hendricks interview here in a week. So, tell you what, I was going to say, let's go to break, but let's just go straight into Jamie Songer. Jamie Songer, how are you doing, bud? Everybody, there was a few times guys are like, well, maybe I ought to send a picture of my nuts to Jamie on Facebook. I was laughing when I seen that. And Jamie's like, game on, game on. It's game on. Sherry Rice, he kind of poked the bear of Sherry Rice. All I can tell you is if you go to Diamond Detailing Motorsports or just look up Andrew Rice on my friends list, you'll find his wife, Sherry Rice. We've been talking about shower scenes with Sherry Rice. It's been pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not as bad as you think it is. It's just been really funny. Jamie Songer, his Iowa Enduro Series, he now has 4 more nights locked in.
Good.
4 more nights locked in. Guys, get out there, get cars. Go to the Supreme Enduro Series on Facebook. Just look up Jamie Songer, Jamiesonger. He's on my Facebook. He's all over Slingin Dirt. Get hooked up with the Supreme Enduro Series. It's a great thing that Jamie's doing. But I tell you what, enough about that. Let's just see what he's got to say today. So here's Jamie Songer.
Warning, the related content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so today we're gonna talk about pit crew cuff guy. You know, the tough guy. The guy with the wife beater, missing sleeves, thinks he's somebody, and he's always gotta yell at another driver because his driver, who probably really don't even know him, got screwed. You know, and then they get on Facebook and they gotta say all these threatening things. Dude, just walk over and jack him in the mouth. Feel free, and then tell him you're with a different pit crew. Don't tell him who you're with. I mean, if you're such a Johnny tough guy, just take care of it. Don't go on Facebook threatening some 16, 18-year-old kid, you know? And for that instance, if you're 16 or 18 or 17 and you're on the racetrack and you cause problems and you start acting like a tough guy, hey, got news for you. You just turned 18. Just turned 18. You want to play a grown man sport and run your grown man wannabe mouth? You're gonna get treated like a grown man. Don't cry. But pit crew guys are essential to everything we do, and we love them to support us. But there's no reason for you to badger some other driver on Facebook for a week and a half straight. While I love the passion you have for your driver, you still got to use your head somewhat and think about it. Now, I know most people would say, oh God, Songer just said walk over and jack him in the mouth. At least you look better. I mean, my God. I've looked pretty stupid on Facebook a lot of times, and 4 or 5 of them was when I thought I was Johnny Tough Guy talking. Just go get it done. Go tell the guy, hey, jackwagon, why you gotta run into me every time I turn around? You know? But don't sit there and talk about it on Facebook for a week and a half and think everything else. Or the fans that do it. I mean, I love fans being involved, but you don't even know that driver. He might be a really good guy. We work on an area on the weekends that is either a half mile or a quarter mile in area. And once you leave the half mile or the quarter mile, those people are real people. They're no longer the race driver you thought. I'll guarantee you 99% of the people you met that you thought was a jackwagon or a piece of shit or whatever on the racetrack is probably the best guy you'll ever meet in real life. Get to know him. But don't sit there and run down some poor guy because he ran into your favorite driver for a week and a half on Facebook. You're getting nowhere.
Good old Jamie Songer. He's got a. I tell you what, the last few Songer says have been spot on. Really good. A little funny, other than the fact that he threw me under the bus. And by the way, I have nothing against rookies. I just want to put that out there.
I was wondering when this was going to come up.
I mean, really? 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 I mean...
No, you didn't throw yourself back far enough when you did that.
Oh yeah, you got to do the Songer. Really? That's the Songer right there. Tell you what, we're going to be back here next week. Next week, excuse me, next week, we're going to have Jim Hendricks Jr. That was a fun interview. Look forward to talking to Jim. He coming from the cruisers to the pro-ams, his brother Joey. And who do you think can weld better, Joey or Jim? Yeah, we'll find out next week. So this is Matt Dennis. I'm Buddy Ray. This has been Slingin Dirt. Until next week, we'll catch you on the flip side.